Also requesting a mandatory mask use for public indoor spaces. So for more on this, let's bring in Vaughan Mayor Maurizio Bevilacqua. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good evening.
All right, so let's talk about this. You're planning on bringing this in. When will your meeting take place, or this is all part of the York Region meeting coming up on July 9th?
All part of the York Region.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I seconded Mark and Mayor Scarpitti's motion to actually introduce this. But we're taking a bit of time to give everybody a sort of comfort level in council to discuss the issue, to answer any questions. But, you know, Nick, during COVID-19, you have to look for consistency, right? And when you look at the mask, a very simple question is, do you think a mask helps the situation or does it not? And the answer is, it obviously does. It does help us reduce transmission, and it gives us a greater sense of security. Our responsibility as individuals during this crisis has been to make sure that we give the community the type of security that it requires during this crisis. And it's really also about individual responsibility. There are people that will talk about civil liberties and other issues, including social equity, access to masks. These are all issues that we have to deal with. However, having said that, let's get back to some very basic principles. And the basic principles are that we need to be there for each other and that we need to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. I think the past few months have taught us that consistency is very important. In my city, we're the first city to declare a state of emergency. You know why? Because I wanted to telegraph to the citizens of Vaughan that this was a very serious issue that we must take very seriously. And that's how you have to deal with this kind of issue.
Do you think that the province should have done this, just across the board, or do you think it's okay to leave it up to the different municipalities and regions?
Well, ideally, the province could have stepped in, but the reality is this: like, it's not a wait and see kind of attitude when you have to lead a fight against COVID-19. You roll up your sleeves and you bring about positive change to people's lives by being there, by being present, by making decisions that affect human lives. COVID-19 is here; it's spreading. It's taken lives. It's affected our economy. This is a serious issue. So if wearing a mask is going to help us, then we should wear a mask. And I haven't heard anyone so far that has said that wearing a mask would actually increase transmission.
So are you surprised that it has taken this long for, whether it's municipalities, regions, whatever, to come around on masks? I mean, if we had done this perhaps, say, back in late March or early April, do you think we would have seen, fewer people coming down with COVID, fewer people dying from COVID? Are you surprised it's taken to the end of June before we got to this point where, public health units are now mandating it effectively?
Nick, there will be reports issued after COVID-19, after we find a vaccine, that will say that we got a lot of things wrong and that we got a lot of things right. There will always be criticism. The reality is this: look, we live in the present moment right now, and the present moment tells me that wearing a mask is going to be helpful. Should we have implemented it earlier? You know what? In fairness, in the GTA, I saw more people wearing masks now than I've ever seen in my entire life. So people were making their own decisions. And now, with even the city of Toronto tonight making the decision it has, we must always make decisions that go towards achieving our ultimate goal, and that is reducing the transmission of COVID-19. We have to be principle-driven. We have to be focused like a laser beam on our ultimate goal. And other conversations are important, but not for this moment. This moment is focused. We must be focused on making sure that we do all that we can within our powers. So the argument about whether it's the province or whether the city should have gone first, the only thing I care about is at the end that we're going to move towards that we're moving towards that decisions are being made, and that people's lives are being saved. That, to me, is the ultimate litmus test of good governance.
And speaking of litmus tests, I wonder how things are going in Vaughan when it comes to the reopening in Stage 2, and how soon you think you may be able to get to Stage 3.
Yes, things are going exceptionally well. We're doing exceptionally well. I was telling you earlier, the economy in the city of Vaughan, in manufacturing as well as housing and construction, there's been an uptake, which is quite an anomaly in the Ontario economy. But I do think that we're looking forward to a third phase in the next few weeks, if not months. But one thing I will tell you is that in back of my mind, I'm thinking about that second wave of COVID-19 that's going to come in the fall. I am like really focused on that. And that's why I think that wearing a mask, getting accustomed to it, is going to serve us well in the second wave. Medical Officer York Region said that COVID-19, the second wave, could be 4 times worse than the first one. So we need to be focused not just on the present moment. This debate about the mask is important, but I think you know where I stand on this. Mm-hmm. Anything that helps to reduce the transmission, I'm in favor of, because this is the toolkit. We got to remember, we're at war against COVID-19. We got to put everything, every piece of arsenal against it. And if the mask is going to be doing that, then obviously people ought to rally around it, as they have in the city of Toronto. And without prejudging the debate at York Region, I think people by then will recognize that it's important to move in that direction. So you have to be consistent, you have to keep your eye on the ball, you have to reduce transmission, and you must always get ready for what's coming up in the fall. And that is the reason why, Nick, little things like, closing our libraries till January 2021. Why did we do that? Because we know that the fall is going to bring that second wave. We need to be vigilant, and ultimately, we have to be in this together. Often we hear these words. So for those individuals who may not be in favor of the mask, then I guess you're not in favor of saving the lives of people, saving the lives of our friends, of our neighbors, and not paying much tribute to those individuals or honoring the death of people who unfortunately have passed away as a result of COVID-19. I think this is a time to really check your principles, values, and beliefs, and align your actions on those values, principles, and beliefs. And I know that as Canadians, as we are close to celebrating Canada Day, we are caring, compassionate individuals, and we will be there for each other.
Yeah, we got to win this war together, and we appreciate your perspective tonight. That's Vaughan Mayor Maurizio Bevilacqua. Good to chat with you again.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And Peel's Medical Officer of Health also wants